Indonesia berada di jalur yang tepat untuk menjadi salah satu dari 5 negara dengan perekonomian terbesar di dunia. Seiring dengan persiapan Presiden terpilih Prabowo Subianto untuk mulai menjabat, ada 2 negara yang menonjol dan sangat penting dalam hal ini. 2 ekonomi terbesar dunia, China dan Amerika Serikat. Cadangan nikel Indonesia sudah ada sebelum Jokowi menjabat. Namun selama masa kepemimpinannya, Indonesia meroket ke posisi teratas dalam produksi nikel global. Kondisi ini membuat Indonesia menjadi produsen terbesar di dunia sejak 2018 dan dominasinya meningkat setiap tahun.
Indonesia is probably one of the most important but least understood countries in the world.
The reason it's kind of rising to the importance of the global economy is the emerging market for nickel is from batteries, primarily lithium-ion batteries used in mobile phones and laptops, but increasingly in electric vehicles, which is really the big market in the years and decades to come.
IKN, Ibu Kota Nusantara, visi masa depan Indonesia, proyek triliunan rupiah yang dibangun di dalam hutan dari nol. Para kritikus mengatakan bahwa proyek megalopolis ini hanya buang-buang uang. Sementara itu, para pendukung proyek ini mengatakan bahwa IKN mencerminkan kepercayaan diri dan kekuatan Indonesia yang terus berkembang.
Indonesia is probably one of the most important but least understood countries in the world.
Setelah menjabat selama 1 dekade, masa kepemimpinan Presiden Joko Widodo akan segera berakhir.
People feel because he's come from relatively humble origins and worked his way to the top, they feel that he understands their needs, and his policies focusing on infrastructure development, trying to make improvements to basic health and education services that in the past have not been very good quality and quite hard to access. I think they feel that that has delivered for them.
Pemerintahan Jokowi memprioritaskan infrastruktur sejak awal. Dana untuk pembangunan jalan, pelabuhan, dan kereta api telah meningkat hampir 3 kali lipat sejak Jokowi menjabat pada 2014.
The reason it's kind of rising to the importance of the global economy is the emerging market for nickel is from batteries, primarily lithium-ion batteries used in mobile phones and laptops, but increasingly in electric vehicles, which is really the big market in the years and decades to come.
Cadangan nikel Indonesia sudah ada sebelum Jokowi menjabat. Namun selama masa kepemimpinannya, Indonesia meroket ke posisi teratas dalam produksi nikel global. Kondisi ini membuat Indonesia menjadi produsen terbesar di dunia sejak 2018 dan dominasinya meningkat setiap tahun.
Now they are the major producer by a long way, and really all of the supply growth in the years to come will come almost primarily from Indonesia. So that's why Indonesia is so important to the nickel market and really the broader energy transition.
In 2009, when we were still in government, we passed a law, it was the coal and mining law, which talked about the importance of increasing the value added of our raw material mineral exports. And there was a timeline that we would start restricting the exports of ore by 2014. So, 2009 to 2014. So it was an advance warning, if you like, to all the mining companies that they had to think about how they were going to invest in smelters and so on.
Bagi Indonesia, tujuannya adalah untuk berkembang pada tahap yang paling menguntungkan, yakni hilirisasi.
The upstream is typically mining and a little bit of processing. The midstream starts to get into more technical materials that can go into battery materials, and the downstream is the batteries and the electric vehicles themselves.
Itu berarti menarik investasi untuk produksi baterai dan kendaraan listrik agar benar-benar dilakukan di dalam negeri.
As of this year, LG Energy Solutions and Hyundai are planning to start battery production in Indonesia, and Hyundai are also looking at EV production starting in the country this year as well. We're starting to see more and more momentum in the downstream.
The commodity boom that benefited Indonesia in 2022 and 2023 is actually starting to fade. So we're seeing these commodity tailwinds fading. In Indonesia, usually when we have higher commodity prices, it tends to lift quite a few boats. So it tends to lift government revenues, it tends to lift investment spending. And as these tailwinds fade, we basically see that it could have some impact on growth as well.
Kurangnya diversifikasi ekspor Indonesia menyebabkan jatuhnya harga-harga komoditas yang sangat memukul Indonesia.
Non-commodity export growth has been quite weak. And I think that's likely to remain quite weak because Indonesia's exports are largely focused on commodities. So about 60% of total exports are commodity-based or pure commodities themselves.
Mengingat sejarah ketidakberpihakan politik Indonesia, ada dua negara yang menonjol dan sangat penting dalam hal ini, dua ekonomi terbesar dunia, China dan Amerika Serikat. Pada 2014, AS berinvestasi langsung sedikit lebih banyak di Indonesia dibandingkan China. Namun, dalam beberapa tahun terakhir, arus masuk investasi langsung dari China secara signifikan telah melampaui AS. Tahun lalu, investasi langsung China ke Indonesia hampir 5 kali lipat dari AS dan sebagian besar masuk ke pengolahan nikel. Bagaimana Indonesia menyeimbangkan hubungannya dengan China dan Amerika Serikat di tengah persaingan kedua negara yang semakin meningkat menjadi tantangan utama bagi Presiden terpilih Prabowo Subianto.
When you look at Indonesia's relationships with its partners, they're complex. If you take China, for example, and sort of the enormity of the economic relationship between Indonesia and China, both in terms of investment, in terms of trade in goods and services, that's a critical relationship.
I think for stability in the world, we need countries like Indonesia who can have conversations, who can invest and trade with both China and America, because it brings a degree of stability and interdependence to the world at a time when otherwise I think we would risk a really rapid and damaging fracturing.
I think there's a lot of ambition in terms of Indonesia and its vision for the future, its vision for its role in the global order. And, you know, when you look at Indonesia in the context of Southeast Asia, the region, you know, in terms of the size of its economy, in terms of the size of its population, in terms of its long-standing sort of informal role as a leading figure in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations,
Indonesia berada di jalur yang tepat untuk menjadi salah satu dari 5 negara dengan perekonomian terbesar di dunia. Seiring dengan persiapan Presiden terpilih Prabowo Subianto untuk mulai menjabat, rakyat Indonesia berharap ia dapat mewujudkan ambisi-ambisi besar itu menjadi kenyataan.
Well, let's zero in now on one of the signature policies of the outgoing President Joko Widodo, his push to move Indonesia further up the mineral sector's value chain. Our business editor Charles Pellegrin joins us in the studio.
Hi, Haxi. Absolutely. This move is meant to respond to one of the frequent problems that commodity-producing and export-driven economies like Indonesia face. They are overly affected by the boom and bust cycles in commodity prices. They do well when prices are high and badly when prices are low. Indonesia is the world's biggest producer of nickel, a metal which is highly coveted because it is used in the batteries that power electric vehicles. An industry, obviously, that's booming right now. Until 2020, Indonesia mostly exported raw nickel ore extracted locally to countries that, like China, that then started the process of refining it for use in the industry. That changed when a ban on the export of raw ore was imposed in January 2020 in a bid to build up Indonesia's nickel refining capacity. After that, foreign businesses would have to invest